Well, hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Beyond Asbury. I am so excited to be joined. We've got repeat guests for the first time on the podcast. Two of my favorite guests, and I've said that they would be back on, and this is me making good on that. And so I'm glad to be joined today by Autumn and Emily, who are part of our Next Generations team. And we're going to be talking about kind of back to school, back to our fall schedule, and all the things that are happening with our Next Generations Ministries. And so welcome back, ladies.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks. Your favorite guest and yours.
And everybody's, yes. So you guys have a lot that you're ramping up for fall. And part of the reason we're talking about it now, which might seem really early, but really it's not. Back to school is happening. And so we have this coming Sunday, which will be the 23rd, is
kind of the start. Yeah.
It's the start.
Yeah. And back to school, your kids went back to school today.
Yeah, as we're recording this, they're back to school, which is really early.
Really early.
It is really early.
I feel like I'm just getting ready for summer, so.
Yeah, my coffee had pumpkin spice stuff in it, so it's happening.
That's the sign. When pumpkin spice comes out.
In August, that's sad.
Getting excited.
But so the 23rd, we have some things happening in worship that we want you to be aware of, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about the backpack blessing part?
Yes, we are going to bless the backpacks at the children's messages at the 9:15 and 11 o'clock services. So bring your bags.
All right. So backpack blessing. What has kind of been the tradition for Asbury with backpack blessing?
We've done it every year for a number of years. We have sometimes done it outside. We've had outdoor services and then kids and kind of combine it with a backpack blessing. So kids will bring their backpacks and we also usually invite people, anyone who's like working in education or we've had parents go up just because they're excited their kids are going back to school.
I feel that.
Yeah. So there is kind of a long-standing tradition just to kind of like send these kids off knowing that we're behind them. But at the same time, we are combining this with our fall kind of kickoff sign up thing, where like between services or after services, before whatever, you can come. We will have our fall sign up registration forms available, so kids, families can sign up for their fall activities, get it out of the way before the first night. At the same time, we will have kind of open house for our kids and youth and families to kind of tour the rooms and the spaces that they'll be using. And just a chance to kind of get to know some people who work in kids ministry, who work in youth ministry, and kind of hear about things that are coming up. We'll have packets with information for families. I know Autumn has some of her volunteers that will be there so they can meet like people who will actually be in the classrooms with these kids on Wednesday nights. And for the youth, it's I always really try to push for it because we really need those registration forms before we take kids off site. So it's like extra incentive to be like, please write down who to call if something.
Yeah.
And so
Safety first.
Yes. So it's an opportunity to do that kind of before things kick off. So that way, when the first night comes, we can have more fun.
Yeah. You're not doing the first night of just all of the paperwork and
Right.
So,
which you can do.
Yes,
then.
You're still welcome to. So my first question is, when then is the first night of programming start?
September 9th.
September 9th.
That is the Wednesday after Labor Day.
Okay.
And is also typically when we do it. So we'll have a midweek meal that first night. I don't know what we're having. I don't even know for sure what it is yet. Like what's going to happen with our meals.
Is that a need that we have?
I was just about to plug it.
You should do it. It's a good time.
If you feel called to help with Wednesday night meals, and in particular, coordinate the efforts of our volunteers, boy, do we have a job for you. So we have wonderful people who have provided these meals every week throughout the school year and then continued over the summer. I think most of us have been able to enjoy them at one time or another,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But it takes effort to organize who's going grocery shopping, how many people do we need to set up, tear down, serve the meal, that kind of thing. So if you're an organized person, if maybe you don't feel like cooking, or maybe you can't always be here on Wednesdays, but you know how to put a team together and make sure that the things are in place that need to be in place so we can share in that meal on Wednesdays. This is a great way to plug in and be a leader in a way where you don't have to like stand up in front of everybody and talk to. So it's for the introverts.
Plugging the right people into the right places so that our meals happen.
Yeah. And I think we need to say that the meals are a huge part of this ministry, that it's not just a incidental thing, but meals, in my experience, have been a big reason that allow families to be there. That if they're going from place to place to place, if they have to figure out a meal in between there somehow before they get their kids to the next thing, oftentimes it can be an excuse to not show up. So one, having the meal eliminates barriers for our families and all the people to be able to participate in Wednesday night activities, but it is also starting the night off with fellowship and with community building.
Yeah.
And I think that is just cannot be overstated how important that piece is.
Yeah, I mean, and you're absolutely right. This when we kind of relaunched, it was like in 2023, moving all of our main discipleship stuff for kids and youth to Wednesdays, where energy kind of was starting to kind of gain momentum. That it was, what are we missing in order to like really have an impact? And it was families being like, well, we're going to be late because we have to go run and pick up dinner, or we don't know, if we're going to make it because I picked, whoever up from soccer practice, and by the time we get food and get over there, it's too late or whatever. Yeah. And I'm also a parent. That was the thing that was the hardest for us on Wednesdays, was how are we going to get these people fed? So actually, how it kind of started, we started doing this is we were kind of watching some other families that would kind of come early and just like throw something together in the kitchen and just informally for themselves. And so then I started doing the same thing for our volunteers, where I would run over to the co-op and pick up some ready-made meals and bring them back for them. And then other people would started being like, oh, like I'm coming from wherever, the other direction, but I'll grab Culver's or something and swing in, and we'll all kind of eat together. And noticed our youth kids too were wanting more and more snacks. Like our snack team was bringing more and more. And it's like,
right.
This is obviously something that needs to happen.
Right.
And I mean, thankfully we have a team of people that just couldn't wait actually to serve a meal and make some things they were saying, for the kids. And then it became just
for everyone.
And it's a family thing, and it's a community building evening. Yeah.
That's cool for me. I didn't know the context behind how that started. So that's cool. And it's cool that it's grown so much that we need a coordinator.
Right. So so it went from kind of building kind of that way. And then, but we were like, let's try it, see if people are interested. So we were doing it just once a month. And kind of just filling in on the other nights. And then it became, Paul Zeeb, of course, was like, okay, I know somebody just did a meal, but like, and it's only been a couple of weeks, but can I do another one? Do you think people come? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how will they know? You haven't advertised it. Like, that's not how we need to do it. But he would, and people still, like, they caught on so fast, and they showed up, and they wanted to be here for it, that we realized last year when we started, this has to be an every week thing. We have to be able to, feed people.
Right.
That's where discipleship happens, around the table.
Yes, Jesus is constantly eating.
Yes.
He's constantly eating. He's just eating all the time.
It's true, but it matters. It matters because that's where connection happens. And so again, if that's something that you're like, I think I could actually manage that. And again, what we're looking for is someone who can help to organize people, organize getting the ingredients and getting the ingredients to the church, and just kind of overseeing that. We're not asking that someone is like, it's your job to cook and shop and serve and clean by yourself. Like, that's actually not what we're looking for at all. We want all
that part's actually the easy part.
Yeah.
You know,
we want everything that we do at the church to be something that we do together. But we need people that can kind of be the point person. And so that's what we're looking for. So that's happening on Wednesday nights. We've literally only covered the first piece of Wednesday nights. So I have not experienced, I've experienced summer nights at Asbury, but I have not experienced Asbury Wednesday nights. And so as someone who is new to this, walk me through what's going to happen.
I'm actually really excited because Wednesday nights, other than the Sabbath on Sunday, is my most favorite day of the week. I love it so much. And I'm so excited because actually both of you, this is kind of a newer experience. Yeah. Autumn, you were hired in the middle of the year and kind of just dropped in and you're like, what is happening? I mean, that is part of just kind of learning the rhythms and learning kind of what it is. And so this is like a new launch also for... It's all ahead of you guys. Yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm excited to witness other people get to see it for the first time. Yeah. It is, what's my phone? It's a really, really, I think, important night for our church. I think it's a really fun night for our church. It's where kind of the energy is. Mm-hmm. We start out with that meal, and then at 6 o'clock, we break off for kids and youth in particular into age-specific activities. The children's joy singers start at 6. Julie directs it. She's directed it for 1 million years, I believe.
So this is Julie Ashworth. One of the things I've learned about our church is that if you are a musical leader, you need to be named Julie or Jolene. All of our music groups are led by Julie's and Jolene. So the children's choir is led by Julie Ashworth.
And Nick Jackson helps as the accompanist and her kind of assistant with that. So they are leading that. At the same time, our youth group also starts at 6 o'clock. And then after the Joy Singers part's done, back to the kids, they kind of break off into their programming that is for elementary kids. There's a group for younger kids and a group for older kids. That happens from 6:45 to 7:30. And I mean, you can talk more about, I suppose, like what happens in that. I don't know as much about it specifically.
There's Spark, which is for 3rd through 5th graders, and there's Sprout, which is kindergarten through 2nd grade. So it's split off based on developmental levels. Julie Ashworth leads the Sprout room with Roxy, and then Nick Jackson leads the Spark room. And so those take place after choir. And that's like kind of like what Emily said, Wednesday nights are our main discipleship night. So that's where kiddos get to learn a lot about the Bible and prayer and interact with each other. So yes, it's cool. It's fun. I just picked out a new curriculum for it.
You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's from Cokesbury.
That's our United Methodist Publishing House.
Yes. And I just think it's really beautiful. It's a very oriented towards how God's character and how God behaves and how that impacts you. And it's very very on stories.
Okay.
And kind of the big picture of how God moves.
I love that. My memory of Sunday school was always very much you just learn these little individual stories. And it was kind of just the highlights, right? Noah's Ark, and Jonah and the whale, maybe, and Jesus.
But you don't know how they connect, right?
But there's no overarching sense.
And which one came first and why.
Yeah, or how these people matter. So I love that idea of kind of a big picture. How does this all fit into what we believe and who we are?
Yeah, God is compassionate, I think, is one of the big fall themes and stuff like that. So I'm really, really excited about it. Yeah. And I actually got the recommendation the day I was looking for the curriculum. Renee and Elaine were sitting in the hospitality room.
Two other women
that go to the church, and
right.
they have lots of like history in the United Methodist Church, and they just were bringing up curriculum, and they were like, oh, well, we can talk about this. And I don't even know how it came up. And it was like a super great lead. So anyways, I'm pretty excited about that.
It was
Feels
her
like a
God
gift.
moment that week.
Yeah, it was my God moment that week. Yes. It was really cool.
I was just thinking, so Renee Peterson and Elaine Roberts.
Yes.
Renee is a pastor's kid in the United Methodist tradition, and so her roots go so deep, and her connection across conferences, across the connection. She's an incredible resource. And Elaine Roberts, if you don't know, she is a powerhouse. Elaine Roberts intimidates me a little bit. I'm going to be honest.
As well, she should.
She was the director of the Board of Pensions for the Dakotas forever, it feels like to me. And so, she would be speaking from the conference floor. And so, I mean, I knew that name, I knew that voice, I knew that person from that vantage point. And so and I went to a Tuesday morning, Monday morning Bible study thing, and she showed up, and I was like, oh, you're in this? Okay. All right. This is great. But just, again, the wonderful resourcing we have right here in the church, and people who, again, are so have so much to offer, even in just like casual conversations. They probably didn't even think twice about it.
No. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And it was like, oh, it's the perfect curriculum ever. Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I just want to lift that up. Like the joy that I've been finding, one, in reconnecting with people that I've known in other capacities and getting to know them now in a new way. And then like finding out people like Renee who and Lloyd, who you heard from last week, who are so deeply connected and just rooted in who we are as United Methodists and what our mission is. And it's just such a cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely. So to like,
let's circle back now.
So yeah, so while all of this wonderful new stuff is happening, our youth group starts, and our small groups is at the heart of what we do in youth group. So we've really worked on these last couple of years, and we're still continuing to shift it toward everything that we do in youth group is how does it benefit the small group? How does it lead to those deeper relationships in their groups? Because we started out with 16, 17 kids, and now on a busy night there's easily over 50 people in the room, and with adults too. So one big group doesn't really foster those deeper relationships and those relationships with adult mentors who walk alongside these kids. So we do large group stuff because that energy is great, right? We play games together, do an activity, and then we all worship together. And then everybody breaks off into groups that are by grade. And the idea behind that is then you have 2 leaders who will stick with that group each year as they grow. So hopefully, I mean, we're finally able to start doing that because the group has grown enough to where we have a small group per grade. So those 2 leaders that start, in 7th grade, they'll be with them in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So by the time they graduate, these are people who know them very deeply. And so we try to tailor experiences around those relationships. So even if we're doing a fun activity, we'll be doing it as a group, as a small group, and that has, I think, been important. When we talked at the end of the year last year on what they wanted more of, we were like, if, okay, we're at the end of the year, from the start of the year, what do you wish went differently? What do you want to see change? And all of them said, more small group time. So clearly it's making an impact. So that is something we're going to try to be a little bit more intentional about. I can be a little long-winded. So maybe finding other people to give messages that can be a little shorter. Maybe me keeping my mouth shut a little bit more so they can have these conversations, because that is where the growth happens, is when, we kind of introduce a topic, but then they really dig into it. And so that's been a really, to borrow from Autumn's word, a really special thing to watch. These relationships kind of grow over the last few years, and now continue. So that's kind of how we structure our night. We also have, over the last year or so, developed and kind of launched a youth band that leads worship. And they're learning not just the music, but they're learning how do we lead in worship? Why do we have worship? Why is it important that you say these things, or we sing these songs? And that has been really, really cool to watch unfold and start to build out. We had our first student leadership team meeting of the year last night, and those kids are really excited to kind of shape our ministry a little bit more. So they are going to be responsible for leading a lot of our activities. They're choosing a lot of what we do. I gave them a list of all of these different series topics, and they narrowed down which ones they wanted to do, which ones they wanted to have extra weeks on to kind of draw it out, how they wanted it, or ones that they wanted to kind of condense in order to make room for other ones. And I had 3 of our students say, could I lead a message? Could I do? And I was like, yes, please. Yes, please. Can we do that? Which is something that would not have happened if I had asked that. I mean, I didn't ask it. They brought it up. But if I were to have asked that 2 years ago, there would have been no way. So it's just really was affirming that investing in these kids, investing in kids and youth as a church, the change that, the culture that we're building, these are kids now that are not afraid to talk about their faith. They're not afraid to stand up in front of people and live it out, and lead others in it. It is just so cool. And, the point.
This is why she's award-winning Emily.
Yes, this is why. I was thinking the other day, or I was just, in my bathroom, whatever, brushing my teeth or something. And I was like, man, I think the youth group is in the best place I have ever seen it at Asbury. For the youth group when I was growing up, it was deeply impactful and special. But it is the amount of energy on Wednesday nights, there are youth running all over the place, in the best, and I mean that in the best way. It is so cool. And I've gotten to get to know them and all this stuff. And I just see these really special relationships between them and the investment they have in the church and with each other. And I just think it's really, really cool. And it's so crazy to me that you say things well, we were just throwing things together 3 years ago, we were getting Culvers and whatever. Cause I'm it is it's like a machine. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it starts with kids ministry. These kids then learn the basics of why, how to be in church, how to be in community with each other. They learn the backgrounds, right? They learn how to do these things in a very concrete way, that then they go to youth group, and as their brains develop and they get a little bit older and can kind of explore it in a more abstract way, it's because they had that foundation that they're able to do it. And then they can take these stories that they've learned, they can take these the things that they know, and now it's but how does that work when it comes to how I feel about my friend in this scenario? How does this work when I'm anxious? What does God say about this or that? And it's because we support at Asbury, we support our kids all the way through these things. I've seen and talked our students through things oh, I wish I was in a small group with this person, or I wish it was that. And I'm here's the thing about being in groups, and we do it this way very intentionally. So while our students have a ton of say over a lot of what we do, and we've tried many different things, one thing I'm kind of a stickler about is that we select your leaders and your group very intentionally. That doesn't mean you're going to be best friends with everybody in it. That doesn't mean it's going to be if you could build it yourself, you might pick somebody else. But we're going to teach you how to be in Christian fellowship, even if it doesn't always fit each personality the way like you would hope. And to watch them kind of like consider it, and you can see the wheels turning in their mind, and then they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I wish we had more adults who could do that. And these kids are doing that work and are living it out in really, really strong ways that are just makes me a lot more confident about our future.
Well, no, I think it goes back to the culture that's being built, right? So when I came in, what I see is these kids are having adults who are intentionally investing in them. And what they are naturally doing is turning around and then doing that for the kids, which is what I experienced this summer at Summer Nights at Asbury with my children, in that they were youth that were there in the summer for activities, which I was just like, how is this happening? But not only that, they were naturally going out of their way to bring in the younger kids. But I think it's because that's being modeled for them, that people are investing in me, and who can I turn around and invest in and be that person for? They're already doing it. We just went, Emily and I went this week to Dakota Wesleyan, and we're hearing about what they were doing with campus ministry. And on the way home, I looked at Emily and I said, this is what you're doing already. At the youth level. And really, it's just incredible because it's empowering, and it's empowering our young people to take ownership of their faith and to not be afraid, and to model a different way. And I keep going back to that passage from 1 Timothy because I feel very strongly about it. Do not let anyone look down on you because you are young, but you set the example.
Lead up. We
right?
talk about that a lot too. We're like, you're in a position right now where you're gonna have to lead up.
Yeah.
You set an example for the adults around you too.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm a better person when I like see what these kids are doing, and then I'm like, they can do this. I should be able to also do this thing.
But I think about, you made the comment about like, I wish more adults had this sort of mindset of intentionality around like community building, but that's not how things were structured for them. That's not how the world outside often looks. But it's, again, this countercultural culture that we're building in the church of intentional community, of instead of just avoiding hard things or conflict or things that might feel uncomfortable, and just kind of hiding out with what you already know, learning those skills of how do we build this together. How do we connect with one another over things that maybe in other circumstances we wouldn't feel called to do? And yeah, I look forward to the future with hope, because this is what the next generation is doing at 15, 16. Imagine what they're going to do
at 25, at 30, at 50.
Well, and again, at Dakota Wesleyan, watching college students who are also in this sort of similar empowerment program where they're getting to do the work and make decisions and take leadership roles. They said they had like 16 chaplains or something that are student chaplains at Dakota Wesleyan. And we sat with one at the table, and she's 22 and already so equipped to be a leader in the church and
the world.
And the world. And so, again, it just goes back to how amazing it is to have a church that is so invested in our children and youth, because that's going to have, not only does it have a huge ripple effect and impact on our church community, because my guess is, how many grades now, small groups do you have? And you have adults for each of them.
Yeah. This year, I think we'll have 6 small groups, and each group has 2 leaders.
So I bet if you were to ask any of those 12 adults what the impact of that experience is on them.
I can say I was talking to one of our small group leaders that was in the church for their last Wednesday night gathering for the summer. And she said, I can't wait for small groups to start. I can't wait for youth group. I missed it all summer. It is so it makes an impact in the
now.
And in the lives of these adults.
Yes.
These adults are changed also.
Yeah. And same for children's ministry, that again, investing even in the littlest of littles, and you're not doing deep theological work there necessarily. I mean, I think it's difficult theological work to translate these things for children, which is why I'm so glad I have Autumn. But but again, it's that investment matters. And so to me, to see these systems be built up in the way that they are shows me that the church is behind what these lovely ladies are doing, and it makes a difference in who we are as a church culture. If our youth are learning these things, that we learn these things as well. And I'm so pumped for the fall to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm thinking about it, like we've just, within these last couple of years been very intentional. We are now like building up a different kind of culture in our nursery, to be nurturing the youngest of us. We are building up our kids' ministries to, for our kids, and the same thing with our youth. But then these kids graduate high school, and what comes next for them? So that is an invitation, I think, as well for our church to how are we intentionally, passing these kids to what's next. Like, how are we investing in them as they go forth? And how are we investing in the young people that are coming into our church while they're in that next stage of life of, a new job or going to college of some kind or whatever it is that is kind of the next area, I think, to kind of lean into is how are we ready to receive people in that next stage of life, but also how are we following up with and checking in on our students that have graduated high school? How are we connecting them to a church wherever they're going to be? How are we able to, or if they're in Sioux Falls, how do we invite them into now our adult spaces? We have all of this stuff, and it's like kids program, youth program, and it's really, really high energy, and it becomes like such a deep family for them. And then it's like, well, you're done with youth group. And see ya. And so how do they
braid them back
into our church?
How do we braid them back?
Well, and I think that goes back to one of the, in my mind, has been kind of a key word for since I've been here, which is intergenerational, and why that's so important and valuable, so that their experience in youth group isn't a world unto itself, but that it is connected to the broader church. And so that when they are done in that timing, that they have connections beyond that it is easier for them to transition into other types of things because they already know the people, they already have experienced, so that's why I think, again, we've talked a lot about why that is becoming so important, because some of the disconnect that I think churches have experienced over the years is children in youth ministry are one thing that is kind of almost entirely separate from the rest of the church. And once they kind of graduate out of that, they have no real connection to the rest of the church body. And so bridging some of that, I mean, that's been a big part of our conversations, and you've heard it already when we talked about summer nights at Asbury, the impact and value that intergenerational events and that our church, that's part of who we are, and that's part of who we want to be. And I think that's part of a healthy church, is that all generations are connected to each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which does circle us back to the meals. The meals are really intergenerational.
Again, but part of the reason why that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I hope that this gets you excited about things that are happening at Asbury beyond Sunday, because it's Wednesdays.
I get it.
But hopefully, if you've got family, friends, neighbors, kids, nieces, nephews, all of the above, or none of that, you are inspired to get connected, to sign your kids up, to get all that paperwork done on the 23rd as we come for backpack blessing as well. That day, there's also going to be a prayer walk around Laura Wilder Elementary. So another piece of that caring about and investing in next generations within our neighborhood, within our community as well. So there's lots of ways to get plugged in. We hope that you do. And we look forward to having a lively, and we didn't even talk about that there's other things happening on Wednesday
Oh my
nights
gosh,
as well.
yes.
But there's also music groups that are meeting as well. And so other
A
things.
small group that meets, usually doing a book study of some kind in the library.
So there's things also for adults that are happening at that time as well. And so even just come and hang out and feed off the energy. Honestly, that sounds
Taste and see.
taste and see that our Lord is good, right? That's what I say for communion. But again, I think it's just, if you have not experienced a Wednesday night, I've come out of a church that has a similar rhythm as well. And Wednesday nights really did have all the energy. The other thing I'd say is our children and youth are so faithful. They're there every week because they want to be, because it's awesome and it's fun and it's engaging. And so they are honestly, out of every church I've experienced, the most consistent and faithful in their attendance. So again,
Absolutely.
do not let anyone look down on you because you are young, right? I'm a big fan of children and youth, and I think a healthy church, a vibrant church, is a church that cares deeply about it. So again, we invite you to be a part of it in whatever way that God is calling you to live a Christian life beyond Sunday. Until next time, God bless.